Okay, great. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Thanks, everyone. Hello, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Armando Ortega, and I'm the Director of Product Marketing for Replicon. And I want to thank everyone for taking the time today to join us for this webinar entitled Improve Staffing, Productivity, and Service Delivery. I am joined here today by my colleague, Scott Bales, who is the Director of Solutions Engineering for Replicon. And in today's webinar, we'll be showcasing our Gen 3 product, which is our latest Replicon platform, which we are very excited about to have launched recently. And since most of you are on the webinar here are customers of our web resource product, today's conversation is going to have a particular focus on resource management, but we'll also touch on some of the other great capabilities of the product. Scott's going to spend the majority of the time, or the majority of the webinar, giving you a demonstration of the product, but before that, I'll give you a brief overview of what the Replicon capabilities are. Now, before that, however, let me get through a few housekeeping notes here. So just to let you know, you'll be kept on mute during the presentation, but you're more than welcome to submit your questions via chat during the presentation. So use the Q&A text box that's going to be displayed at the right-hand panel of your screen. And then we will be addressing these questions at the end of the webinar. We will allow some time for Q&A so that we can reach out to our customers. There's also a chat box that you can use in order to ask questions to the moderator in case you're having any kind of sort of technical audio issues. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and kick it off. So I know most of you as customers are already somewhat familiar with Replicon, but I did want to take a few minutes just to refresh some of you who maybe have not spoken or heard from us recently, as we've evolved a lot in the last few years. So we are the leader in cloud time tracking applications. We're used by millions of companies to manage their workforce attendance, projects, programs, professional services organizations, so a lot of different type of business needs that we help companies address. And as customers, you're in good company. We have gained the trust of 7,800 companies worldwide, companies such as Facebook, Xerox, Credit Suisse, and Moody's, who come to us to help them meet their business needs. Now, they come to us for a lot of different reasons, but these are some of the key benefits that our customers are getting right now with our application. One is the ability to get greater insight. So by many regards, an employee human talent is one of the biggest expenses that a company can incur. And so we are giving organizations visibility into how employees are spending their time, what projects they're working on, and where to gain greater productivity. And by providing that insight, we're helping individuals make better decisions. We're making organizations make better decisions. And it's really an opportunity we've seen for our customers to go from the person who's managing the time tracking process, but to really partner with the organizational leadership to provide that insight into the business. The other key area is the lowering of compliance risk. So we see a lot of that in our HR, time attendance customers who need to track HR compliance and make sure they're in line with overtime. Some of you might be using Replicon in that way, but we see it a lot also in our project management and professional services organizations. Some project-driven organizations need to be DCA compliant or need to make sure that they are abiding by the contract specifications with their customers with regards to bill rates and things of that nature. So we help organizations really tackle that and make sure that they're staying compliant. And then the final point is essentially talking to the streamlining of our processes, helping them to be more efficient and more productive, to do more with less, to relieve them of the administrative manual burden so that they can focus on things that are more important to their business. And these are the four key areas that we differentiate ourselves in helping our customers achieve those benefits. One is that we're a cloud provider, so we deliver our solution through the cloud. We have a cloud offering that provides all of the benefits of a cloud solution, the security, the maintenance, and the frequent release of enhancements. We deliver a one-platform product, meaning that our time tracking solution can be used to manage and track time across many different aspects of an organization, whether, as I mentioned previously, it be time and attendance or professional services engagement, or looking more at internal project costing. And it's very easy to scale and add new users and add new capabilities to our platform so that it can be used organization-wide. We have a strong emphasis on usability and making our product easy to use. At the core, if end users don't feel comfortable putting in their time and think that it's an easy process, they're not going to do a very good job, and you're not going to get the data that you need. So that's really important to us, and you'll really see that in the demo when Scott goes through and shows you how people navigate the application. And then finally, our no hassle mantra is aimed at making sure that our customers are happy, that they're getting the service that they need. We assigned them a specialized customer success specialist. They have an easy access to reach us 24/7, 365 days a year. And these are the four key solution areas that we focus. You might have currently different products that you're using, but they fall in one of these four areas. Professional services management solutions to help professional services organizations keep track of their time, manage their resources, as well as bill for their time. Project and program management is another project-driven time tracking solution, but focused on helping organizations look at their internal projects to help them understand their costs and manage their resources. These first two will probably be most of you on the phone today, since you are currently using our web resource product. But the other two areas that some of you might not be as familiar with is, one is the shared services management. So it's our solution focused on helping organizations that operate in a shared service model where they have a service center that services multiple business units or departments in an organization. So we help them track the efficiency of how they do that and be able to report back to the business. And then, of course, our time and attendance management solution that helps organizations keep track of time for payroll purposes, manage overtime and time off, and stay compliant with HR and labor policies. These rounds out the four key areas. I think a lot of the focus today will be on the professional services management solution. We'll also touch a little bit on the project and program management. So for professional services management, these are the key parts of the solution. These are the parts that make up that product. So at the core, we have our time tracking capability that, of course, it allows us to track that time easily and give visibility into that time. But also a lot of capabilities in how projects are managed, being able to set up projects, drive the right attributes that you need about them. Resource management is an integral part of our solution. This is something that's new as part of Gen 3 that we'll talk a lot about, as well as all the billing management capabilities that you need to manage your rate, to be able to bill and invoice clients. If you're using our solution that's only for project and program management, this might not be a component that is part of what you're doing. And then underlying all of that is our analytics and reporting framework that provides visibility into all of these processes. And as I mentioned today, we're going to have a particular focus in resource management. We extended this invitation to all of our web resource product users, and it's a product that we've offered for a while, and a lot of customers are using it, and they're using it to help manage their resources with Replicon. And while the product is done a good job of doing that, we also understand that customers have asked us for things that they would like to see improved in the product. And so we've really taken that to heart and listened to that. So things such as better integration with the core time tracking and projects capabilities in Replicon. We've heard that having real-time updates across all Replicon products whenever anything is changed on the resourcing side, and also just having an overall better user experience. These are all things that we've heard. And I'm really happy here to announce that we're introducing this new resource management capability as part of our Gen 3 launch, which I think our customers are going to be very happy and very excited about. Essentially, we've unified the resource management capability to make it a seamless part of the process with project tracking and our time tracking solutions. We've also made it so that everything is real time. So as you allocate resources into a project, you'll see that it's tightly integrated with our timesheet. So all of it will work together and it will work in real time. We've significantly enhanced our placeholder resource support, where we've added a lot of workflow and giving organizations the ability to manage upcoming future products when they don't have an exact resource, but they know a resource type that's going to be needed. We've really enhanced that so that we can provide the visibility for customers to do better forecasting and better planning. And then we'll just have an overall better user experience to make it easier to use the tool, both for end users, for resource managers, and also for executives who want better visibility. But Replicon Gen 3 is a lot more than just the resource management piece, so I wanted to just touch on a couple of these main points just to give you a flavor, and then I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Scott, who's going to actually walk you through the product and let you see it live. So 3 of these that I wanted to highlight, well, before we go into the 3, I actually just wanted to highlight overall what our theme was for Replicon Gen 3. So first is our next leap in usability. So we've made a lot of enhancements to the UI, and you'll see that it's a lot easier, it's a lot cleaner, it's a lot more dynamic. You can do things with fewer clicks, and that should become alive in the demo, especially since you're familiar with our product. Data field decision-making Strive talks to the added analytics that we've included. You'll see additional charts that are dynamic, they're real-time, and they provide insights as you're going through your normal business process. So it's not like you have to go to a separate tab and run a report, but you'll see it as you're looking up projects or looking up clients. Enhanced project execution. We've added a lot of capabilities to help our customers better execute on their projects. We've added client management functionality, practice management functionality that you'll see in the demo. And then for those customers who are using our time and attendance solutions, we've really streamlined the process to go from tracking time and logging time to helping them get through to submitting payroll and getting that process streamlined. So we've added a lot of enhancements there as well. So here I just wanted to share a few of these capabilities before I hand it over to Scott for the demo. So the first of these that I wanted to highlight is client management support. So, we had this concept of the client before, but we've really taken it to the next level with Gen 3, adding a lot more capabilities, making it easier, assigning projects to clients, being able to see high-level summaries of all projects for a client, like this screenshot here shows all of the different projects across different statuses. So you can get a rolled-up view of how your client is doing, how profitable the different clients you have are, as well as manage the different specifics, different attributes of each client, such as the billing rate, or the particular expense types that are being approved. On the practice management side, we've added this notion of practice management, so the ability to roll up a lot of different projects into one entity called a practice. Many customers who are professional services organizations divide their projects into groups that are similar in nature, such as an ERP practice, and we now provide the ability to roll those projects up and see a consolidated view of billings and costs. We've also added, similarly for organizations who do this not for billing external clients, but for tracking internal projects, similar capability we call program management, where essentially, again, it's the idea of rolling up similar projects into broader company initiatives so you can do broader tracking by program. And the last one I wanted to highlight before I hand it over for the demo is the fact, as I mentioned earlier, that we're adding a lot new analytics and a lot of charts to provide better high-level insight into the different aspects, whether they be projects or clients or programs or practices. These are very dynamic. They display information in real time with the ability to make adjustments on the fly, to drill in, to hover over and get detailed information. So I think these will be very, very much to your liking. So I think with that, I want to hand it over to Scott and have him walk through the presentation and show you the product itself. Go ahead, Scott.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Armando. And as Armando mentioned, I'm really excited to be presenting this because we've been talking to customers for years in some cases with regard to web resource and some of the capabilities and functionalities they would like to see. And now I finally have gotten a chance over the last few months to present that to customers so that they're able to see the improvements that have been made. Everybody on this call obviously recognizes the value of resource tracking. You made an investment in our tool, our web resource tool, maybe some time ago, maybe recently, and that's because you do recognize the value in resource tracking. And what we've done is we've taken customer feedback, all of the customer feedback around web resource, and we've taken it and we've incorporated it into our Gen 3 solution, which is what I've logged into. It's what I'm sharing on my screen now, and it's the platform that's going to allow me to demonstrate those new capabilities today. Now, as Armando mentioned, we do have several different solution areas, and specifically I'm going to focus on the PSA, or the PSM solution, Professional Services Management, which is really a superset of our time bill product, if you're familiar with it. It allows for time tracking, client billing, and managing those rates, as well as resourcing. So we're going to get to the resourcing. I do want to do a high-level overview because there is a lot of product changes. I'll keep that at a high level, and we'll focus in on the resourcing component because we do have a web resource audience today. Right away, logging into the application, you're going to see a different look and feel. You're really seeing a Web 2.0, and that's really a marketing term, but you're really seeing a refreshed look and feel, a very clean interface. Navigation is now done all through two top-level menus, no more left-hand menu, which frees up a lot of real estate for us to present more content on the screen, and that comes into play a little later. You'll see why. But overall, a brand new product, taking away a lot of the pain points of the current solution. And this is the timesheet. After a lot of years, a decade of working with the same architecture and building on it, we really took a step back and produced an interactive timesheet like the one you're seeing that makes timesheet interaction very efficient for the users. From a market perspective, I will put our timesheet up against any other timesheet on the market, and I think your end users will tell you that anytime they can just start typing what it is they're looking to track time towards and have the system find those items for them to select, that's really going to be a great end user experience, and we've optimized the product for it. Now, the timesheet interface that we're looking at, we're not going to get into it today, but we also provide mobile interfaces for the timesheet now as well. No need to be tied to a computer. Everybody's bringing their own devices to the party. So whether it's Android, whether it's iPhone, you're going to be able to access our system whenever and wherever you are. Now, the tabs up across the top, not only have we moved to a top-tier navigation, but we've also broken the system down logically into groups or into navigation that makes sense for your role. So an end user is going to spend their time in My Replicon. The team lead or the supervisor might be in the team tab. The same goes for client managers, project managers, billing managers, and then reports release spreads across the organization. But what we tried to do is put relevant functionality together in a single location for you. End users will do their time from this screen. If they were doing time off or expenses, they'd also be on the same screen. So what we've tried to do is create a product that puts functionality together where it makes sense. So without further ado, let's jump right into the project management section, because that's where we're going to focus on that resourcing component. We're also going to get a chance to see some of the enhancements that apply everywhere, and we'll take a look at programs from this area as well. We start on the project list screen, and all of our products have always had a project list screen. Some of the nice things that we're seeing now in the Gen 3 product with regard to our list screen is the ability to sort by any column, the ability to resize any of these columns from an interface perspective to something that's more visual to you. We have the built-in filters across the very top that'll let you choose certain project managers, certain project names. We also have the ability to quickly filter. Right below those, you'll see quick filters that will bring up my projects versus other project statuses in the system. This list is, of course, going to present indefinitely and allow me to scroll and bring up more of that data. I don't have to page through information anymore, setting how many records I want to see per page. It's going to propagate as you need to see it. Now, the last point I'll make here with regard to the project list page and all of our list pages in the system is the configuration gear. So the configuration gear that I'm on here allows me to bring up my table settings screen. Why is this important? Well, as a project manager, I may be monitoring certain aspects of my project. That means I want to be on top of all my costs, estimated and otherwise. I'm not all that concerned with billing, and maybe I'm not all that concerned with actual hours because it's all about costs for me. So if I'm one of those project managers, it's easy for me to modify the table so that I'm looking at costs. I'm not worried about anything else. And when I log into the system, those settings that I've selected and those configurations apply each and every time I log in. So I don't have to go in and reset it. The other thing to keep in mind is my changes only apply to me. Armando can log in as a different type of project leader, choose the columns he wants to see, and those are the columns that are displayed for him when he logs into the system. Now, each one of these projects has the same capabilities that we have in our current product. If you're familiar with our projects within our time bill or time cost product, you're not losing any of that capability. So if I drill down into one of the projects, I've quickly found projects with financial in their name. So I'm going to drill down into the Financial Data Reporting Fixes project here, and right away we're presented with a graphical representation. This graphical representation is showing me estimated versus actual hours. You can see the blue versus the gray, the blue being the actual, the gray being the estimated. In this case, actual versus estimated hours over a period of time. We're looking at a weekly view, but we could look at a monthly or quarterly view as well, and we can choose that date range that we're zoomed in on. We could be looking at estimated versus actual costs as well. And the last option would be billing versus costs. So this is a great view of your profitability. How profitable is this project on a week-by-week basis? If you wanted to see actual versus estimated billing, now we're getting into some forecasting and trying to understand what we estimate for billing into the future. The task structure within the project still gives us that ability to create work breakdown structures with tasks, subtasks, etc. The Team tab is where we're going to start to see some of the biggest differences. So this Team tab is where I define who can actually enter time towards the project. Okay. In addition to groups and global assignments like all users or specific departments, I'll have the ability to associate specific users, and that's what we see down at the bottom. But the sunken entry is a new feature, and that feature comes from Web Resource. It's called placeholder assignment. Now, the placeholder assignment in Web Resource was extremely limited. What you could do with a placeholder was minimal compared to an actual user, but within our system, what you're going to be able to do is add a placeholder, choose from a selection of roles that apply to that placeholder, associate them to account, and when you would, and when you would really use this is as a PM planning the types of resources you need, and then maybe having a resource manager go in after the fact. Or maybe it's just a resource that you need to hire, you don't have it on your staff yet, and you need to account for it. That's where we're going to use placeholders. Now, in addition to defining that you need a placeholder for this project, we're also going to be able to say how much time we expect that placeholder and other users on the project to work. That's where allocation comes into play, and that's done up here at the top of the Team tab. I can take an allocation view of all of the users. Now what I'm presented with is a resource-specific view over a period of time of how users are allocated to this project. Any of the white space in the graphical representation below indicates availability. The gray indicates that user's allocation to other projects. The green is their time off, and the blue is specifically how much time I expect them to work on this project. Now, to add an allocation for a user, let's add one for this placeholder for a project manager at the top. I simply click inside one of the cells, and it'll default to that week, so I can associate number of hours a day or a percentage of their time in that week to this project. Or I can change the date range and assume that to the end of September, I need a project manager to put 2 hours a day towards it. Clicking Add Allocation will update the allocation in the calendar view, as you can see there. And anybody looking to fill that placeholder slot, maybe it is the PMO, will be able to see what we're expecting that resource to do on this project. At any point in time, we can click on the other users' allocations to add or modify it and see what they've been allocated for in a given week. Now, the view we're looking at here really applies to this project. I don't have any visibility from this screen into the other projects that Anna's working on, and that may be by design. Maybe I don't have permission to see those other projects. If we need to get access to that information, we need to have permission to see the Resources tab up at the top. The Resources tab at the top of this project management group will give us access into all resources now within the organization. And we're seeing, again, a graphical representation of how utilized those users are on a week-over-week basis. White space corresponding to unallocated users. The light blue is tentative projects. The dark blue is projects that they are allocated to. And then the pink tag is going to indicate that this user is over-allocated. And if I mouse over any one of these cells, you'll see that the system tells me specifically the projects they're working on. And from there, I can drill down and get more detail on it. Now, if you want a static view of what that user is working on, you can simply choose to show projects, and that will expand out, in this case, what Christina Jacob is working on. And I can drill down right from here into this project to modify what it is she's assigned to. Now, that's great for named users, and up at the top, you'll see that I can filter for certain names. I can sort by availability to see my least utilized users right at the top. I can even find certain departments or skill sets. That's another aspect of resource management. The system is going to allow us to indicate and create multiple skill sets with multiple skill levels and assign them to users so that when we're trying to find specific resources, we can do so very quickly. Now, the view that we're looking at here is represented graphically. You are going to have project managers and resource managers in your organization that prefer to see this information in a numeric format, and we can easily do that up here, changing to perhaps a percentage view or a raw hours numeric view if you like. Now, this view assumes these are all named users. It does not include anyone except named users. And to see those placeholders, we go to another tab right beside actual resources. The placeholder resources view is going to show me, by default, all of the placeholders in the organization. So these are all the unfilled resource gaps. Okay. Now, a lot of applications out there are going to make it very tricky for you to switch between resources, placeholders, and actual resources. In some cases, you really just have to assign another user and then delete the resource yourself. What the Gen 3 Replicon solution is going to do for you is very easily allow you to click on the name of a resource and bring up the swap user screen. Now, what you're going to see at the very top of this screen is another calendar. The top shows the placeholder you're trying to fill. And as I scroll down this screen, it's going to show me other users in the system. Okay. By default, it shows me everybody, but I may say, hey, just show me users in a certain group. Show me the HR employee. Just show me the implementation group. Just show me the department that has PMs in it. Or show me somebody that has project management in their skill set. All of these filters can be applied to find the right resource. Now, once you use the filters to give you potential matches, there's another aspect of this that Replicon is going to help with. You'll see the percentage of available hours match below each user. This corresponds to the number of hours, looking at the allocation at the top here for my placeholder. This is the percentage of hours that can be taken on by that user based on their other allocation. So as I scroll down this list, what we should see is, that percentage becomes smaller and smaller. That's because Replicon has analyzed that user's allocation and said, listen, if you give it to somebody other than Michael, it may not be met at 100%. And you can choose to do that and override it and deal with that overallocation, or you can allocate it to Michael, replace the placeholder down here at the bottom, and now Michael's allocation will be updated within the system. That placeholder will disappear, and now Michael will be able to enter time to this on his timesheet. Now the Programs tab, the other tab we haven't looked at within the project management screen, is where Armando alluded to grouping projects together. So right now in the system, there's no way to group like projects together. You may have found a way to do so with user-defined fields, but what we've done now is built it into the system. And we did it for a couple of reasons. It lets us create list screens like this that you can configure and view like a dashboard, just like the project management screen. And if we drill down into one of these practices or programs, you'll see we're able to represent graphically again, estimated versus actual hours, cost, and billing. And from a resource management perspective, I can also see the resources that are allocated to this program. And remember, a program is just a grouping of projects together, so I can make sure that my resources are allocated to the right projects, maybe based on strategic initiatives, maybe based on our core strengths as a company, ensuring that users are not allocated to keeping the lights on projects, they're allocated to revenue-generating projects. This same graphical analysis and ability to drill down into projects that drive this data is presented from a client view as well. So if I go to the Clients tab up at the top, what I'm presented with is yet another configurable dashboard. There's lots of them in the application, and now I'm seeing all of the clients in the organization. I'm also seeing the hours, cost, and billing amounts that are associated with those clients for a certain date range. I can compare month to month what we were booking for them. I could put in a custom date range as well. If I drill down, take a look at Big Game Inc. Customers that have used our product for a while are quite familiar with Big Game Inc. Again, now I'm looking at a grouping of projects, understanding the hours, cost, and billing that I'm getting from all of this client's projects. So if I'm going to see a client, I want information on what we've been doing to date, how things have been progressing. This screen is where I'm going to start. I'm going to drill down. I'm going to find out where we're at for billing for now. I'm going to try and understand what we're going to be billing them in the future, so I can maybe prepare them for some big invoices in August, and make sure that I come prepared and with the knowledge of what's driving the billing that we're doing for them. Resources. Resources is also going to be an important factor. We want our employees working on revenue-generating customers. The same way a company wants their employees working on strategic initiative projects. This way you can see how your resources have been allocated over time to this client. Okay. Billing rates have also found a place on the client level. So if you were billing clients previously, you'd have to manage their rates across all of their projects separately. And now billing rates at the client level means you can update those rates in one place, and any future projects for that client will take those rates into account as contracts are renegotiated. Now, of course, we've seen how the system can leverage resourcing and how we can allocate users to projects. One other point I'll make, we talked about easy timesheet capture. One other point I'll make is with the allocation of users on projects, what we're essentially communicating is the hours that we believe a user is going to work on a given project. Maybe we think Armando is going to work 4 hours on one project, 4 hours on another for the entire week. Well, that's a great starting point for a timesheet, and Replicon has really taken it to the next level. What we can actually do with those allocations is pre-populate Armando's timesheet and have him just come in on a weekly basis, make 2 or 3 quick changes, and submit. And what that really results in is the fastest timesheet he's ever submitted, because it's pre-completed for him. Now, the last thing I want to touch on within the solution is reporting, because all of that allocation information is great from a graphical representation. We want you to be able to use those screens and share those screens internally from a dashboarding perspective, but there is still going to be the need for you to get that data out for various reasons. We haven't tied all of that data into those graphical representations. Everything we're seeing graphically is available to be extracted from the system, and that's going to happen through the project reporting interface or the resource reporting interface. And again, if you're familiar with our reports, you're familiar with the level of configurability. One of the biggest requests we were seeing from web resource customers is, hey, I love your reporting, your time bill, and your time cost product. why can't I do that in Web Resource? And it was really a platform issue. Web Resource was on a different platform. But now that all of that resourcing capability is here within Replicon, what we can do, if I open up the resource forecasting report, is leverage that configurability. Here we're looking at all the weeks of 2012. We're looking at Richard Anderson, and we're looking at the hours, in this case, that he is available to work. We can modify any element of this report just like previous versions of our tool, looking at the available hours versus the estimated hours or the allocated hours for a user. We can easily add columns. We can move columns around, change the order of them. We can even sum columns right from this view. Down at the bottom is where we're going to group information. Okay. If we want to maybe not go to the week level, we want to go to the month level. Let's do that. Make this report represent my time entries per month. We can easily do that, make those changes. And if I save this, what we're going to see is a report that's going to give me my estimated versus actual hours per user per month, summed at the year level, summed again at the entire duration that we're running this report for, and down at the bottom I think we'll see it summed at the month level. Again, this level of reporting and the configurability and flexibility of what we're able to do with this data is second to none from a reporting perspective. There's lots of reporting tools out there that will give you this information. They're not going to be user-friendly. We've designed our reporting interface to allow end users to create these reports with drop-downs and checkboxes. We don't want you to have to write programming code to get this data out. And we made it very easy to get it to Excel. If you are an advanced user and want to generate some additional graphical reporting, email it out or get it to a PDF. And keep in mind, the report that we're seeing here is really a cleaned up list. Historical product has been an addition of report after report after report added on to the solution. And what we've done is we've cleaned that up now so that the product will only have a limited list of reports that are required. The actual list that we see there isn't limited at all. The reports list that we've created in the new solution has the ability to create as many reports as you want. There's no limits there. Okay. Now again, we've navigated efficiently through the application. We've taken a look at the new timesheet interface. We've done some resourcing within the product, and we've touched on how to get that data out from a reporting perspective. I think we've covered off everything we wanted to. So at this point, what I'd like to do is I'd like to pass the ball back to Armando, and we'll open the floor for questions. I think.
Yes, great. Thank you, Scott. That was a really great demonstration. I think you really touched on all the key areas and the new enhancements, and I think it's going to be really productive for our customers. Just a few closing things. Again, wanted to iterate the resource management capabilities of Gen 3. We're very excited about them. We think they're going to provide a lot of benefits to our customers. This capability is an integrated part of our professional services management solution and also of our project and program management solution. So they're built into those two solutions. They're part of Replicon. They're on the same platform, which we're very excited about. And at this point, what I'd like to do is go ahead and turn it over for Q&A. So those of you on the phone, please submit your questions. And let me take a look here. just wait here a few seconds.
I've got one question here from Darren. Darren's asking, I am currently a user of Replicon TimeBill and Replicon Web Resource. Right now I have to manually enter all of my time into both tools. Is that going to be something that I have to do here? So I think what he's alluding to here is the fact that projects have to get created in both places. There was an integration in place between the two. It was kludgy, and you had to manually go in and synchronize it. One of the nice things about this is your projects and that resourcing is all in the same location. There's a single source for project information. You don't have to bring projects from one tool to another. We're bringing the two tools together to leverage a single platform and a single source of information with relation to that.
Okay, we have a question here from Linda. She's asking if this is this update mandatory to what we currently have? So the answer is it's not mandatory. So we don't want to force our customers to do this. However, we do feel that the capabilities are much improved, and we put a lot of effort into making the product easier to use and more helpful and productive to companies. So I think we've already seen a lot of interest from customers, and are really looking to move into the Gen 3 product just because of the integration of the two solutions.
So another question here from Kelly. Kelly's asking if the currency can be changed again. This really alludes to some of the benefits that we saw in some of our products that didn't extend to Web Resource. Bringing that under the Replicon umbrella means yes. The currency manipulation that we are seeing in our Replicon product with full historical rates of exchange rates means that we will actually be able to change currencies. All of those currency changes will apply to those resourcing costs, and again through your billing rates for those users as well.
And we have a question from Crystal, who asks, when does the update launch? So Replicon Gen 3 is actually available now to customers. We will be doing a much larger and formal launch later in a few months. That's going to get a lot more attention in the market, and we'll be a lot more public with it. But we're making it available now. We have customers who are already using it and who are live on it. So if you're interested, we really encourage you to contact your account manager and have a conversation. You can have a tailored demo, and they can explore your unique circumstances and figure out a plan to get you on the new product. There's another question here from Linda. If a user is not resourced for a project, can they add hours to that project?
They can. Common question again with the other customers that I've gone through Gen 3 with. They can still add time to that project. Often, all of us work on projects that we weren't originally spec'd to work on. And the system isn't going to prevent that unless you want it to. Group assignments within projects still allow other users to enter time towards the project. It's simply those specific resource assignments that will let us allocate users and track their allocations versus their actuals. So yes. And it looks like the next question from Linda is around our timesheet of client project and task didn't correspond to resource. Has been fixed. So the fact that that project exists now in Replicon, that timesheet that I was on is a direct reflection of all the projects that I was allocated to. This is one solution, one platform now. So if the project exists from a resourcing perspective, it exists from a time capture perspective. The client exists in all of those instances as well. So answer to that is yes. So the next question is there a scenario where the client tab can be useful, and what about the practice tab? So the client tab, as we looked at it, is really a client-level view. So, for example, I'm going to visit a client later on this week. What I'm going to want to do is very quickly come up to speed with, where are we at with this client? And from the client tab, I'm going to have access to all the projects for that client. Because it's a configurable interface, I can say, show me our actual hours versus our estimated hours. So I'll quickly be able to see where we're at. Are we way over our estimates from an hours perspective, from a cost perspective, and a billing perspective? Because I can probably figure out why this customer's asked for me to come see them based on what we have in the system. And what that's going to let me see and quickly gather information around, I'll be able to use the details within Replicon to find out, hey, why are we over budget? Why are we over estimate? And go into that client with the knowledge to answer their questions when they're asking them. So that's really what we're focused on with the client screen. Now the practice screen or the program screen, again, the same way we have project managers within an organization, larger enterprise customers are also going to have program managers that are in charge of not one project, but 10, 20, 30, 40 program or 30 projects, and those all fall under a program. And they want a higher level view of not one project and how it's doing, but show me how all of my projects are doing. And from their high-level program or practice view, they can always drill down if they suspect there's an issue, because they have quick access to all of the projects related to that program. But that's where we see that program or practice screen being utilized, is somebody higher up from a project manager that has to manage multiple projects at once and needs a high-level view in one place.
Do we have any other questions from the audience? If you have any questions, please feel free to submit them now.
So one more question, it looks like, from Kelly. I'll address there's a mobile question here as well. We do have a mobile app, both Android and iPhone, to fill in time. So I'll quickly say yes to that. Kelly has a question here about when our company transitions, will it be seamless, i.e. project, notes, resources, rates, will automatically be updated to the new release without manually editing or losing info? That is correct, Kelly. Now, like the other upgrades that you've gone through potentially in the past, the system is going to move all of your data over without you having to go in and edit that information. Now, the one caveat that I will make to that is, obviously, if you're coming over from a time bill or a time cost product without bringing over your web resource data, that resourcing allocation information won't exist. So you'll have to add that going forward. But yes, all of your rates, notes, projects, et cetera, historical time even, will come over with the migration to our Gen 3 solution. Now, web resource data that exists inside of web resource can also be brought in so that we can apply those allocations to the Gen 3 product as well. But that won't be as seamless as the Replicon time bill, time cost migration. It's still something that we're going to take on for you, so it'll be seamless to you. On our side, we'll have to adjust some allocations to get it in there, but there won't be any data loss in that case. Next question from Linda is, the expense report module did not reflect the task code as it does in the timesheet module. Why isn't it uniform? Is one question, and then has this been fixed? So I apologize for the sirens. The expense module has come over to Gen 3. It has really come over in the same incarnation. However, the latest version of the expense module does support a task allocation. So that may be addressing your requirement, Linda. What I would like to do is have support follow up with you after this to make sure that I'm understanding that problem correctly, because we do allow for a task allocation for expense, and if it's something we're not doing in uniform with the timesheet, I do want it addressed. So resourcing has been the first Gen 3, the big first Gen 3 change. We'll also be doing some scheduling stuff within Gen 3, and expenses is slated for a Gen 3. I don't want to say overhaul, but a significant improvement as well, just to address some of those issues. So please reach out to support, and I'll have them reach out to you to talk a little more about that.
Okay, great. It doesn't look like we have any more questions, so I think we're good to wrap it up. Thanks everyone again for joining. Again, please, we encourage you to contact your account manager or email sales@replicon.com to get learn more about Gen 3, talk about your specific circumstances, and see if it's when would be a right time for you to take advantage of the new capabilities. And we want to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Scott, for a fantastic demo. And we look forward to hearing from you in the future and future webinars. Also, be aware that this webinar has been recorded and will be made available to you. So thank you for joining us, and everyone have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.